Whoops, wrong music. I'll be honest, this game has been driving me completely crazy for the past couple of weeks. And in a good way. I just have been spending tons upon tons of time thinking about it, and I have beaten it already. And then after watching way too many YouTube videos on said game, I was just like, I can't take it anymore. I have to play it again. So, here we are. I guess I'm not really explaining much, but I guess I kind of assume that if you're watching this video, you probably have a decent idea as to what's going on. Although I do have to point out how hilarious it is that this guy's name is Trouser and he's a snake. Trouser Snake. If you don't know what that means, then either you're a small child, or British, or possibly both. I took a screenshot. I don't know if it comes up in the recording as me having done so, but during this playthrough I'll be doing something just for my own benefit, which is every time I find something in the game that I think is an innuendo of some sort, I'm going to take a screenshot and document it, because I don't know if you guys know, but there's tons upon tons of innuendos in the original two Banjo-Kazooie games, and there's a series of videos called Banjo-Kazooie Rated E ? And I think it's only a matter of time before Yooka-Laylee Rated E ? gets made, because yeah, the developers don't really shy away from that sort of thing. Trouser is an amusing character. I mostly have to come up here just because this ship is called the yeah, it's called that. Screenshot. Alright, there are 10 quills to collect here in this little overworld area. However, I already know that it will be necessary to come back here later with some new moves to get a couple of pages in this area. So, getting all the quills here right now is not a top priority. However, I do need to point out that, hang on a second, this book right here says pants and why you should wear them. There also should be pants flying above this, oh yeah, there they are. Very, very big pants. Possibly a reference to the obscure Game Boy Advance rare title, It's Mr. Pants? Maybe. I kind of felt like he was an official, not sort of mascot for a while. Trouser may or may not have my favorite voice in this entire game. I generally like most of the voices in this game. I mean, they're not as awesome as the ones in Banjo-Tooie, but, I mean, still pretty good. It took me forever to realize what Yuka's voice reminds me of, and he's gonna start talking in a minute because we're basically in tutorial land right now. But for those of you who are Rick and Morty fans out there, the muscular manis from the Turbulent Juice commercial in the first interdimensional cable episode of Rick and Morty, that's what I think these guys sound like. It's not perfect, but there is at least a slight resemblance. Here are some pointless enemies that will die in one hit, and unfortunately they won't give us any things. And by that I mean health. Yeah, the way they handle health in this game is kind of weird, because you have to... The B is your button for tonguing numerous things and people and butterflies. So you use that to gain health, but butterflies only give you health when eaten. If touched, they will refresh a bar, because basically the game doesn't really shy away from giving you OP, and by that I mean really OP powers. More on that later. But I guess it's kind of similar to how you had to have things like eggs and feathers and gold feathers in the older games, except all of those are just kind of rolled right into this big energy bar, which hasn't been mentioned yet because we aren't far enough into the game to see said bar, because we haven't unlocked a move for it yet, but we'll be doing so shortly. Anyways, walking into butterflies will refill that bar. I may or may not be skipping over important dialogue, and if I am, I apologize. Like, when I'm playing Banjo-Kazooie, and if it already sounds like I'm mentioning Banjo-Kazooie a lot, well, brace yourself, because I think that's just kind of par for the course for this game. I mean, it is a spiritual successor, after all. But I kind of miss when I could just hold the button and it would make the voices faster and higher pitched, and instead if I want to skip, it just kind of like makes the sound go away. Welcome to the main overworld. Why don't you climb this thing to get your first principal collectible? Slow pan of the room for some reason. It's really slow. Alright. Now that control has been thrust back upon me, I can actually go and get our first pagey. These will also be making an appearance in pretty much all the levels in the game. It's not really easy to describe why they're there. They're just platforms that when you step on them, sometimes they have a smiley face, which means they go up. And sometimes they don't, which means they have a frowny face and they go down, because those two things are mutually exclusive. Good old moving platforms. And oh my gosh, I almost jumped clear off the platform. That would have been an amazing way to start this Let's Play. And unlike, well, I guess your first Jiggy in Banjo-Kazooie talks, but pretty much all the pages, yeah, that's what they're called, can talk in this game. And yeah, I fully subscribe to the theory that you can take pretty much anything and add a suffix of IE at the end and make it sound about 110 times more whimsical. If you're watching this video and you're not really familiar with Yooka-Laylee or Banjo-Kazooie, I apologize if I'm skipping over important stuff, but I mean, it's honestly not that complicated. We're here to go into levels and find things and do stuff, and I'm trying to expedite the process of getting to said first level so I can start doing said stuff. But this trouser guy will be giving us new abilities, and he'll appear in every level, so it's very important that we find him when we get to said new levels every time we enter a new one. The fact that he's very business-oriented and is in it for the money, or quills in this instance, although I don't see anyone else in the game trading in said quills. Am I saying said too much? Ah, well. He kind of reminds me of that Moneybags character from Spyro, although I will admit I've barely played any Spyro. Like, I've played the first third of the first game twice, and I've played the first Game Boy Advance game through a couple of times. Oh yeah, they also mentioned cages that contain these pages. A lot of the pages in this game will be located inside these cages, and then that's just essentially your cue letting you know that you have to complete some form of objective in order to unlock the cage and get the page. E. So, our first principal collectible is still explaining really simple stuff to us. It's like, hey, here's how you open levels. And I'm like, okay, thanks, game. I don't know if it's my tone of voice or the things I'm saying. I may sound overly sarcastic, but if it's not obvious yet, I absolutely love this game. The load times are kind of crap, though, but hey, what can you do? I am running this game on the highest graphics settings possible, although it's not at the highest resolution, because I'm obviously not going to run the game at any higher resolution than what I'm recording all my videos in. But yeah, here we are. Here's a collectible, and this is exactly how I did the level when I first played the game. I had no idea what was going on. I was just like, hey, look, here's a path. And here's a thing that's actually somewhat difficult to find, although that's one of the more easy things to get. They're Jinjos, basically. I mean, they're Jinjos. And, yeah, the thing that makes them unique, though, however, is you have to collect them in different ways each time. See, actually, here's another one. That last one just was content to just stand there and let me collect it. That one, however, is on the run, and I actually did a pretty decent job of catching up to him, so I'm pretty happy about that. Not sure why I'm going up here. This character is probably my second favorite voice in the game. I don't know, just the sound effects of the bones clacking together. Oh, that's one of your bones. I mean, that's one of my bones you just played. So I set foot in the area and the characters talk to themselves, and then I walk up and then they're like, oh hey, you should do some things. Yeah, you really wouldn't expect it, but this pot and this skeleton, these two are actually friends with each other. But this is a fairly standard challenge. Just here's some doors that will have enemies coming out of them, and you should attack them. And since they die in one hit, it's not hard. I'm actually not sure if you instantly lose if they get too close. I actually don't think they're even interested in going after the skeletons, so it doesn't really seem like the skeleton in the pot. I know they have names, but I totally forgot what they were. Yeah, yes, I know I did say I liked them. It doesn't mean I remember names. There's lots of people who I know in real life who I like and don't remember their names. Oh no, I wasn't tapping the X button hard enough and I took some damage. Wait, did that not count? Okay. Rolling does not count, that's good to know. Yeah, it took me quite a bit of time to get used to this rolling mechanic. It's, in my opinion, definitely not as easy to control as, say, a Talon-Trant. You are able to just stand still, though you wouldn't necessarily think so immediately on learning the move, but I would say just give it some time and hopefully you'll adapt to the learning curve. And here's a pagey. Let us continue on our grand quest to find things. Let's try and do like a circle around the world or something. I'm not actually going that way. I'm gonna leave some quills behind. By the way, if I accidentally called them notes or jiggies, please understand and know what I actually mean when I say that. I'm leaving some quills behind specifically because it's easy. It's an easy way to paint a certain section of the level as being unexplored, and I know that those quills happen to be leading to an area that require me to get a new move. Oh, and Mr. Greedy Pants Snake guy is, like, apparently watching me from above, just waiting and waiting for me to have enough quills so I can get his moves. I mean, I'm essentially here to get the moves, get enough pages to get to the next level, and then immediately leave, because this is the kind of game where you don't really want to be in the mindset of, okay, I have to get everything, because, well, number one, it's impossible, and number two, again, with the OP abilities that you'll learn later on in the game, things will be much easier on you if you can, you know, just hold your stinking horses. And I made a mistake, and I did a dumb thing. It's okay. Exploring and figuring things out on your own is what collectathons are all about, among other things. Okay, now I'm in an area that also requires a new move, so you know what, let's just cut the BS and go find Trouser. He happens to be in the center up here, and I am wondering if this is enough quills for all the moves in World 1. I'm fairly certain it's not, because I was coming into this recording session just a little bit after watching someone else playing the game, and I seem to remember the prices of the new moves being a little bit higher than what I can currently afford. Yeah, I think there's 3 of them, and they're all 30 quills each. Although, luckily for me, I can obtain them in any order that I want, so I'm gonna get a move that is kind of underused, I would say. However, it is used for multiple different things within this first level, so that, and it also happens to be on the top of the list, so we're getting it. The moves in this game are deliberately meant to reference the 2 characters that I'm playing as, ergo why we now have sonar, since aside from being scary, that's probably what bats are most well known for. Oh, that and certain crime fighter in Gotham City. I don't understand this joke. I thought this was a modern game. Collectibles used to come in one piece. Like, I can think of a couple other games where you find pieces of a collectible. Remember the Triforce quest in Wind Waker? I mean, that's not really a modern game. It initially came out in 2003, but... Oh, I may or may not have missed a somewhat funny joke, which is, let me guess, you have a weight-related name. But this is a kinda sorta fetch quest, which, beware, if you leave the level, your progress in this particular quest will be reset. There's not a whole lot of things that reset if you leave the level, however, that is one case in which things will be reset. But we just need to find, we already found 1, we need to find 3 other pigs, and then we'll get a pagey for our efforts. And the reason I was adamant about getting sonar earlier is because the hardest Ghost Rider to find, that's what the Jinjo analogs are, if I didn't mention that previously, is the blue one, and that's because it's invisible, and you kind of just have to listen for it going tee-hee-hee, and yeah, just kind of hope to get lucky and be in the same place as it at some point. Essentially, during most of my initial playthrough of this game, I had all of the Ghost Riders in all the levels, with the exception of the blue one, and I had the blue one in none of the levels. That's how difficult it was, at least for me, to find them. Oh, I hear sparklies. Now bring my pieces back to me! I gotta say, I am a little disappointed that it doesn't play a small snippet of the Pagey collection jingle for each little piece that I collect.